Here's a little story. Last week I was in Washington and I was talking to a guy who was studying computer science. And he asked me, what area should I explore the most? Because should I go native, should I do desktop software, or should I go and do some web stuff? And I was like, wait and see. Tomorrow I'll give a talk about the web, and maybe I can convince you. So I hope I convinced him. I'm not sure because I didn't see him anymore. But today I'm going to talk about some things you can do on the web that you may or not know were possible. First off, my name is Bellen. I work as a software engineer at Made with Love, which is a company in Belgium. I am one of the co-organizers of Frontiers, which is kind of the other player in the meetup scene. We're friends, it's all cool. I'm part of the Belgium team, so I don't have anything to do with the Dutch team, so that's totally cool. You can find me online as Samwego. That's Twitter, GitHub, whatever you want. I like cats. This is my cat. And my cat will be visible throughout this whole presentation because I like cats. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is the speech API. Who of you knew that the browser could talk? Whoa. Maybe I should just go to the bar and have a drink. But let's see if I have some audio. Yeah.
Hi, Amsterdam, Jays. Did you know the browser could talk? Cool, yeah. The web speech API converts text to spoken words. You can even choose my voice. Since I'm a female cat, I'll be talking with a female voice. Meow.
So, should I continue or should I just let my cat do all the talking? The cat? Too bad, you will have to do with me. I'm sorry. But yeah, the browser can talk. And it's not really that difficult to make the browser talk. Most modern browsers have started implementing the speech API. With modern browsers, I mean Firefox, Chrome, sometimes Edge. Safari is considered a browser, but not necessarily a modern browser. Let's see how we can make the browser talk. The first thing you need is a speech synthesizer, which you can find under your window object. I just put it under synth because synth is much shorter to type than window.speech synthesis. And we'll need this further in the examples. Once we have that synthesizer, we need to create a speech synthesis utterance, which is a very difficult word. And it just means that you create an object which contains the text you want your browser to talk or to say out loud, and then some characteristics of how to pronounce the words. So in this instance, I'm just creating a new utterance with the text, "Hi, everybody." And once we have that utterance, we just use your synth we saw earlier. You say .speak, and you give that utterance, and that's basically all you need to do.
Hi, everybody.
To make your browser talk. But as you've heard, this was
Hi, everybody.
a low male voice, while my cat is a female cat. So that's not exactly the result I was after. So the utterance does not only contain the text you want your browser to talk or to say, but it also contains some characteristics like the voice. I like Fiona's voice. Is there Fiona in the room? No? Too bad. I like Fiona's voice as a voice for my cat. Of course, my cat is very small, so I just increased the pitch a bit so it has a higher voice, and my cat is very lazy, so I just decreased the rate a bit so it talks a bit slower. I'm also from Belgian Limburg. I don't know if you know this, but we talk slower in Limburg. So when you just pass along these options...
Now, this is better, don't you think?
Sounds more like a cat to me. So let's recap. You need your synthesizer, you need a utterance, which is "Hi, everybody," and then you choose a voice, you use your utterance you created to set that voice, and then some other parameters like the pitch or the rate, and just let your synthesizer talk. That's it. The second thing is the speech recognition API. Who have you ever heard of the speech recognition API? Wow, you're really you know everything. That's cool. But yeah, your browser can recognize your speech or the stuff you say, so let's hope it works, because live demos. Hi, everybody. It does not work. We'll just reload just for fun. Hi, everybody. Yeah, nice. So in the green bubble, you see the stuff I just said. Hi, everybody. I could have said any other thing, but since I talk with a little bit of an accent and my English is not perfect, I try to keep it as simple as possible. But the browser, once I clicked the button, started listening to what I was saying, and then it started analyzing every word that I said, and in the end, it returned that I said, hi, everybody. It is important to know that you need internet access for this API to work. That's why I have my phone here. It's a hotspot, so I have some internet. Because the magic doesn't happen in the browser. It's really just Chrome, only Chrome, which sends the things you say to a server, does some magic stuff, and then sends a response back. So let's see how we can do this. The first thing you do is make a new speech recognition instance. Once you have that, you can set some parameters like, I want to start recognizing you as English. I don't want intermediate results. And then what to do when you get a result, or what to do when you get an error back. And that's basically it. So when you get a result back, you will get an object which contains the thing you said, or what the Google servers think you said. And also you get a percentage of how sure it is that it got it right, what you said, that it understood you perfectly. So the next one is a Geolocation API. I think you all have seen these websites these days that ask you, like, can I get your permission to know where you are? Especially news websites and other useless websites. It's done with the Geolocation API. So let's see if it can find out where I am. Amsterdam. That's right, I think. So the browser just figured out that I am in Amsterdam. And we're more or less in that building called Crea. So that's quite accurate, actually. So the browser just figured out that I'm more or less in the vicinity of that point, which is a bit spooky. It's good to know that you will have to give your permission to a website for them to be able to get your location. Not just any website can go and ask your location. But once you've given the permission, you can do stuff like this. And you can do this with geolocation.getCurrentPosition, and that returns some coordinates. Now, I don't know about you, but coordinates, I don't really know what they mean because it's a longitude and latitude, and it's just a bunch of numbers. So I use a Google Maps API. You can use any other API, but the Google Maps API is easy to convert those coordinates to a place that's readable by me, like the locality, which is Amsterdam. And looks like my cat figured out how to send notifications, because you can do that in a browser these days. And you can do that using the notifications API. Showing notifications is pretty easy, and you can do it like this. First off, again, you have to ask for permission, so you cannot just start sending notifications to everybody. But once you've given that notification, all you need to do is create a new notification and send along some text like a title or a body or a cat picture as an icon, because cat pictures, you always need cat pictures. And you get something like this. And this is a native notification OS X, but if you're using Windows or Linux, it will be the native notification of your operating system. So it's nice to know that you can really use some native features of your operating system from the browser. You can also add click events to this notification, so when I would have clicked on that notification, I could have opened a website or gone to a certain page or done a certain action, and this is by just adding a click event handler to that notification we created earlier. The next one are push notifications, or push notifications, just to say it in team. Does anybody know the difference between a regular notification and a push notification? You're not going to answer anyway, but I will explain for you. It's nice to know that there's some people who already know it. If I click this button, we see notification, and it kind of looks the same as the previous ones, but it's important to know that this notification was not sent from the front end of my website, my JavaScript, but came from a push server and was pushed to the front end. We were just listening for a push event, and then once we got that event, we showed the notification. It has some benefits, like if I would just close this window, we would not be browsing my website, but something would have happened, and my server would decide or not. Oh, there it is. That I wanted to show a notification. You can still show notifications from the website, even though I'm not really visiting that website anymore, which is kind of black magic. So that's one of the main advantages of push notifications and how they're implemented in the browser. So let's see if we can get this running again. All right. To start listening for a push notification event, you first need to register a service worker. And a service worker is basically just an external worker which can intercept network requests, or you can cache stuff with it, or you can just start listening for push events. So you just check if it's available in your browser. Once it is available, you just register this service worker.js file. And once that's registered, you have access to the push manager. So you can create a subscription, send that subscription to your server so that your server knows that this ID, which you just created, is your user, so you will only get the right messages for your user. And once you've done this, you can start listening for a push event. This is a lot. I'm just going to skip through it because it's a lot of code, but it's just a basic idea of how it works. Once you get a push event, you can just do self.registration.show notification and show a title or a body. You can also, I've hard-coded this title and body in this example, but you can just get them from the push message that was sent from the server instead of hard-coding them, so you can get some dynamic push messages. But that's about everything you need to do to show push messages, even if the user is not on your website, as long as the browser is not completely shut down. The next one is the Battery Manager API, which is a bit creepy because why would a browser need access to the data of your battery? It's a funny story, but as you can see, my battery is charging and I have 86% of battery, which is correct. Now, if I would unplug my power cord, it doesn't do anything because of live demos. So let's just refresh this page and try again. Nah. Okay, yeah, it advanced while I was not clicking my stuff. So the thing I wanted to demonstrate with this is you can listen to changes in the state of your battery or changes in the state of if you're charging or not. And that's done by the Push Manager API, the Battery Manager API, sorry. The first thing you need to do is navigate to .getBattery, and then it will return a battery object which contains a few things, like is your device charging or not, or what is the level of your battery? In my instance, it was 86%, I think. How long will it take to charge, and how long will it take the battery to be completely discharged? But you can also start listening for changes in this data, like you can add some event listeners. And then when the level changes or when the charging changes, you can advance to the next slide if your demos would work, which they didn't. So yeah. The next one is the Media Recorder API. Has anybody ever played with this before? Few hands. I'm happy there's not too many hands, because I really like this one. And what it does is it records some media like you would expect. So let's record some media. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. So I just created a movie right in my browser without some special backend services or anything. I just started recording the camera feed and my microphone feed and came up with this movie that we can replay if we want to, because it's super interesting. Hi, everybody. Once again, so I can drink. Hi, everybody. So yeah, I just recorded a video in my browser using the Media Recorder API. And to do this, you need to combine a few APIs, actually. The first thing you need to do is get access to your microphone and to your webcam. So we use getUserMedia for this. Navigator.mediadevices.getUserMedia. This used to be just under Navigator, but they moved it to be under media devices, and it now returns a promise instead of just a callback. And you say, I want video or I want audio, and when you get that, you get a stream. And with this stream, we can set the source object of a HTML5 video element to that stream, which will allow us to preview the video we're recording. That's what allowed me to see what we are actually recording. But we can also use a media recorder, like this is supposed to go. So we create a new media recorder, pass along that stream, and once we've done this, we can start actually recording the video of our webcam or the audio of our webcam. You can set some event handlers, like what to do when there's data available, or what to do when you stop recording, and then, of course, you start recording. This on data available handler will just fire every few milliseconds, and it will give you some data of what has been recorded. We're just going to push it into an array later, like so. And then when we stop recording, we take that array and then we convert that to a blob, and then we take that blob and we convert that to some base64 encoded string, so we can pass along that string to a HTML5 video element. It's a bit of a detour, but it works. So yeah, that's how you can record video and or audio in the browser. The next one is my favorite API of everything. If you've seen my talk at the conference earlier this year, I talked about this all talk. I will try to keep it short. But you can create audio, like so. This was not feedback. It might have sounded like feedback, but you can create audio in the browser. This is not an MP3 file or a WAV file. This is really audio created by the browser. It's already a bit nicer. You can do stuff like this. And this is all just created in the browser by some JavaScript code, which I think is amazing. It's really an API that I can play around with for hours and hours and never get bored of it. But let's see how you can create some tones, or very, very basically. The first thing you need is a new audio context, which is the basis of the audio API, the web audio API. Once you've got that, you will create an oscillator. An oscillator is just going to create a tone, a fixed tone, like the first tone you heard, the thing that sounded like feedback but wasn't feedback. Once you've got an oscillator, you can also configure some values like the frequency or which type of oscillator it should be. Should it be a sine wave or a sawtooth wave or a square wave or stuff like this? And you can start it. Now, when you start this oscillator, you will not hear anything until you've connected your oscillator to your destination, which is basically just saying, I want to hear the output of this oscillator through my speakers. It's important to know that the audio context has a separate clock, because when you're scheduling notes or you're making a song, you want it to be very, very precise. And if you would have used set interval or set timeout, if there's stuff happening in your JavaScript code, like some asynchronous codes happening or stuff, it will delay your set interval. You don't want that when you're creating a song, so you can use the separate clock, which you can find under current time, like so. Yeah, so you can just use this time to start and stop an oscillator, for example. So you create an oscillator with a certain tone, you start at a certain time, stop at a certain time, then create another oscillator, increase the frequency, start it again, stop it again. And that's how you can compose songs, by just starting and stopping a lot of oscillators or other stuff. So if you put it all together, you create a new audio context, create an oscillator, set some frequency and stuff like this, and start it, and you just connect it to your destination, which are your speakers, and you can create music in your browser, which is cool. The next one is the vibration API. You can make your phone vibrate using JavaScript, which is a bit weird, but it's possible. And it's very easy, but my laptop cannot vibrate, of course, so I cannot really show it, but if you would go to this URL later, you can try it out for yourself if you're using Android and you're using Chrome. Excuse me? I will share it later with everybody, if that's okay, or you want to try it now. Are you on Android and Chrome? Okay, let's hope this live demo, which is not on my device, works. It's meow.sambega.be/vibration example.
Maybe someone can do a drum roll, just to raise the tension a
I'm curious as well if it's going to work. No drum roll. You know the URL? Can I continue, or do you want to see it again? So let us know if it works.
It says I didn't know the browser.
Okay, then it
It
just,
says I didn't know the browser. Chrome on Android.
okay.
It says, yes, I can make your device vibrate.
And does it vibrate?
Do I have to press a button?
Anyway, it should be very easy to make your phone vibrate. If your phone supports the vibration API, and it should be done like so. You just use navigator.vibrate, and you just pass along a time of how long you want it to vibrate, like 400 milliseconds. You can even let it vibrate in a pattern, like 400 milliseconds of vibrating, 200 of nothing, 400 of vibrating. And this works really well if you are on the correct phone, using the correct operating system, using the correct browser, and your internet works very well, and who knows what else needs to be correct, but it works. I've tried it. True story. So the next one is device orientation. And this means that you can start listening to the orientation of your device, or you can move your device and get different parameters back. So let's try this out. I have this mouse, and my laptop is currently tilted, so you see that the mouse is moving down. Now, if I would move my laptop a bit like this, you can see the mouse going towards the cat, but we're not cruel here, so, oh. We're not going to give the cat the mouse, or do we? Anyway, you can start listening for the orientation of your device and do some stuff like this, like create a fun game, so you could feed your cat mouses if you really wanted to. And you can do this by just listening to a device orientation event, which is just you add an event listener to your window, listen for a device orientation event, and once this event fires, which is a lot if you have the right hardware in your computer or phone, you will get back some data like alpha, beta, and gamma, which I have absolutely no idea what they mean. But if you play along with it, you will see that they will change based on how you hold your device. It's also important to know that not every laptop contains an accelerometer or a gyroscope. For example, I also have a 15-inch version of this laptop, and it doesn't have it, and this one does. Who knows why? It's Apple's decision, or whichever computer manufacturer you have. But if they have the right hardware, you can start listening to changes in your device orientation and create fun games with it, for example. So what else is there in the browser? We have the Payments API, which lets you just seamlessly integrate with some native, let's call it, payment flow, so you can create payments and do payments in a safe way. You have the Web Bluetooth API, which lets you just talk or communicate with Bluetooth devices. You have the Web USB API, which lets you communicate with USB devices. What I'm trying to say is there's these many APIs coming constantly into our browser, so you really cannot predict what's coming to the browser and what I would be able to tell next year when I would be at Amsterdam JS, for example. So it's constantly changing, and there's ever more APIs being added to the browser, which makes web development one of the most interesting fields of computer science, in my opinion. But of course, we have to throw it all together. Puss is the name of my cat. I'm very original with cats, with names. But you all know that Apple has Siri, and Google has some assistant, and then you have Amazon, which has Alexa, I think. So I have Puss, and it can do some stuff. I think the audio is turned off. Oh no, my audio is broken. Doesn't matter, it would talk now because we saw that the browser could talk. But we can ask her stuff like, let's do something fun. I'm never coming back to Holland. Oh, and that it. So you can listen to the stuff I say, but my cat doesn't know what to do, so let's try this again. Yeah, let's do something fun. Aha. And you can draw ears on your head, for example. Because Snapchat has it and Instagram has it, so you can do stuff like this, or say, remind me what I'm typing. 1 minute. Yeah, my computer is very slow. It's a 1 minute, which is very important, so we put an exclamation mark behind it. But it will hopefully remind me in 1 minute. You can do stuff like, what's the weather? Good enough, because it knows the word weather. So now it's going to try to get my location, and based on my location, it's going to try to fetch me some weather, which is a temperature of 7.35 degrees. Anybody has a thermometer? No? I think I will believe my cat. So if you combine these APIs, you can really do some cool experiments on the web. What else can I do? Because you have to wait until the minute has passed, of course. You can ask, what's my battery status, for example? What's my battery status? It's fully charged. You're lying. Check, check. So we see that something has happened that reminded us of something very, very interesting. But yeah, you can just combine these APIs to do some cool experiments in the browser. That's it. You can find this presentation under meow.samega.be, and I hope you liked it or you learned a thing or two. Thank you.